Admiral Kef's cold eyes stared at Zara through the main screen. Jake could feel her nervousness through their mental connection, but her voice remained steady as she spoke. Admiral, I am bonding with Captain Morrison of the human vessel. The process began 3 days ago and must be completed within 4 more days. Impossible, Admiral Kef said flatly. Altarians cannot bond with inferior species. You have made an error. Jake felt anger flare up at the word inferior, but Zara's calming presence in his mind helped him stay quiet. It is not an error. Admiral, the bonding has begun. I can feel Captain Morrison's mind joining with mine. Admiral Kef's expression grew darker. Then you have contaminated yourself with alien thoughts. This is unacceptable. You will return to the fleet immediately for mental cleansing. I cannot, Zara said firmly. To break the bonding now would destroy both our minds. Better to lose one contaminated mind than to corrupt our entire species. Jake stepped forward. Admiral Kef, I'm Captain Morrison. With respect, we're talking. About 2 lives here. Surely there must be some way to resolve this peacefully. Admiral Kef looked at Jake as if he were an insect. Human, you have interfered with sacred Altarian customs. Your ignorance is no excuse. My ignorance? Jake felt his temper rising. Your ambassador never explained your bonding customs. How was I supposed to know that asking someone to marry me would trigger some kind of alien ritual? You asked her. To bond? Admiral Kef's voice was dangerous. I asked her to marry me. I didn't know about bonding. The result is the same. You have initiated a sacred ceremony without understanding or permission. Lisa stepped closer to Jake. Admiral, surely. We can work something out. Our species have just met. Misunderstandings are inevitable. Admiral Kef ignored her completely. Ambassador Zara, you will submit to mental cleansing. The human will be dealt with separately. No, Zara said loudly. I will not abandon Captain Morrison. The bonding is my choice as much as his. You are no longer thinking clearly. The alien contamination has affected your judgment. Jake could feel Zara's anger growing through their connection. It was strange to experience her emotions as if they were his own, but somehow it felt natural. Admiral, Jake said, what exactly would happen if we completed the bonding ceremony? That will not happen. But hypothetically, what would it mean? Admiral Kef was quiet for a moment. It would mean that an Altarian has permanently joined her consciousness with a lesser being. It would be seen as a betrayal of our species. Lesser being? Jake's anger flared again. We've managed to build starships and explore the galaxy. We can't be that inferior. You are emotional, chaotic, violent. Your minds are primitive compared to ours. And yet your ambassador found something worth bonding with in my primitive mind. Admiral Kef's eyes narrowed. Ambassador Zara has been studying inferior species for too long. Her judgment has been compromised. Zara stepped forward, her own. Anger visible now. My judgment is perfectly clear, Admiral. Humans may be different from us, but they are not inferior. They have qualities we lack: creativity, passion, the ability to love deeply. Love? Admiral Kef said the word like it tasted bad. Primitive emotion. Altarians have evolved beyond such weaknesses. Have we? Zara challenged. Or have we simply become cold and isolated? The conversation was interrupted by Kelly at the communication station. Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command. Put it through, Jake said. Admiral Susan Clark appeared on a second screen. She looked tired and worried. Captain Morrison, we received your message about a diplomatic crisis. What's your status? Jake glanced at Admiral Kef, who was watching with interest. Admiral Clark, the situation has become complicated. I need to brief you privately. That won't be possible, Admiral Kef interrupted. All communications will be monitored. Admiral Clark's eyebrows rose. And you are? Admiral Kef of the Altarian High Command. Your captain has violated our sacred. Customs. We demand satisfaction. Captain Morrison, what exactly happened? Jake took a deep breath. Admiral, I accidentally proposed marriage to Ambassador Zara. It triggered some kind of alien bonding ritual that we have to complete within 4 days or we'll both suffer permanent brain damage. Admiral Clark stared at him. You did what? It was a misunderstanding, ma'am. I didn't know about their customs. Captain, please tell me you're joking. I wish I was. Admiral Clark rubbed her temples. How many Altarian ships are we looking at? 53 vessels. Pete Davis reported from the tactical station. Dear God, Admiral Clark looked back at Jake. Captain, Earth Command orders you to extract yourself from this situation immediately. We cannot risk war over a personal entanglement. Ma'am, if I try to break the bonding, both Ambassador Zara and I will be permanently damaged. That's unfortunate, but we have to consider the bigger picture. Billions of human lives could be at stake. Jake felt Zara's distress through their connection. She was trying to be brave, but he could sense her fear and sadness. Admiral Clark, Jake said carefully, what if completing the bonding could actually help relations between our species? How? Think about it. A permanent link between a human and an Altarian could be the ultimate diplomatic bridge. We could understand each other in ways that normal communication never allows. Admiral Keth laughed coldly. You think like a primitive. The bonding will contaminate Altarian purity. It will be seen as weakness, not strength. By some of your people, maybe, Jake said. But what about the others? Zara told me that some Altarians are curious about other species. A small minority. The majority would view this bonding as an abomination. Admiral Clark looked between the two alien commanders. Admiral Kef, what exactly do you propose to do? The human will be punished for his interference. Ambassador Zara will be cleansed and returned to proper thinking. Punished how? That depends on whether he cooperates. Jake felt a chill. Are you threatening me? I am stating consequences. Admiral Kef, Admiral Clark said sharply, if you harm a human citizen, Earth will consider it an act of war. Your primitive weapons are no match for Altarian technology. Maybe not, but we'll make you pay for every human life you take. The tension on the bridge was rising rapidly. Jake could see that the situation was spiraling toward violence, and he had to find a way to stop it. Wait, he said loudly. Everyone just wait. Both admirals looked at him. There has to be another solution. Zara, you said no Altarian has ever bonded with another species before. That means we're in uncharted territory, right? Yes. So we don't really know what would happen if we completed the bonding. We're all just guessing. Your point? Admiral Keth asked. My point is that maybe we should find out. Maybe we should study this situation instead of just reacting to it. Dr. Foster stepped forward. Captain, from a medical standpoint, I agree. We need to understand the implications before making any decisions. There is nothing to study, Admiral Keth said. The situation is clear. Is it? Jake challenged. You said yourself that this has never happened before. How can you be sure what the results would be? Admiral Clark looked thoughtful. Captain, what exactly are you proposing? I'm proposing that we take time to study this bonding process. Get scientists from both species working together. Figure out what the real implications are. We have 4 days, Zara added. If we decide not to complete the bonding, we can simply let the deadline pass. And both of you will be damaged, Admiral Clark pointed out. That's our choice to make, Jake said. Admiral Keth's expression was furious. I will not allow Altarian science to be shared with primitives. Then bring your own scientists, Jake suggested. Study the bonding from your ships. We'll share our findings. Absolutely not. Admiral Keth, Admiral Clark said, if this bonding process could really create a permanent link between our species, isn't it worth studying? Even if you ultimately decide against it, the risk is too great. Zara spoke up. Admiral, what if the bonding could help our people? What if humans could teach us things we have forgotten, such as passion, creativity, the ability to take risks for something greater than ourselves? Admiral Kef stared at her. You have been contaminated more than I thought. Or maybe I have been enlightened. Jake felt a surge of pride through their connection. Zara was standing up to her own people, defending not just him but all of humanity. Admiral Clark, Jake said, I request permission to study this bonding process with willing scientists from both species. If we determine that completing the bond would be beneficial, we proceed. If not, Zara and I accept the consequences. Captain, you're talking about sacrificing your mental health for an experiment. I'm talking about possibly creating the most important diplomatic breakthrough in human history. Admiral Clark was quiet for a long moment. Admiral Kef, would you be willing to allow scientific study of this situation? No. Then we're at an impasse. Jake felt Zara's hand slip into his. Through their connection, he could sense her determination. No, Zara said firmly. We are not at an impasse. Admiral Kef, I am formally requesting asylum with the humans. What? Admiral Kef looked shocked. I choose to remain here and complete the bonding with Captain Morrison. You cannot make that choice. You belong to the Altarian people. I belong to myself, and I choose to explore what this bonding might teach both our species. So be it. Jake squeezed Zara's. The news spread through the USS Horizon like wildfire. Within an hour of Jake's accidental proposal, every crew member knew that their captain was somehow engaged to the alien ambassador. The reactions ranged from excitement to concern to complete confusion. Jake sat in his ready room with his senior staff, trying to understand exactly what had happened. Zara sat beside him, her eyes still glowing faintly, though the light had dimmed since the initial bonding began. Let me get this straight, Dr. Foster said, looking between Jake and Zara. When Captain Morrison asked you to marry him, it automatically started some kind of alien bonding process? Yes, Zara replied. In Altarian culture, when someone asks for a commitment bond and it is accepted, the mental linking begins immediately. It cannot be stopped once it starts. Lisa leaned forward. But the captain was joking, wasn't he? I mean, not completely joking, but he didn't know about your customs. The intention does not matter, Zara explained. The words were spoken. They were accepted, and my biology responded. The bonding process is now active. Ryan Phillips scratched his head. So what exactly does this bonding thing do? Zara looked uncomfortable. It creates a permanent telepathic connection between two minds. We will share thoughts, emotions, and experiences for the rest of our lives. Dr. Foster frowned. What are the medical implications? Could this harm the captain? I do not know, Zara admitted. No Altarian has ever bonded with a human before. Our scientists believed it was impossible. But it's happening, Jake said quietly. He could feel Zara's presence in his mind, like a gentle whisper that never quite went away. I can sense her thoughts, her emotions. It's getting stronger. How much time do we have? Lisa asked. 7 solar cycles, Zara said. If the bonding is not complete by then, both of our minds will be damaged. The partial connection will tear apart our consciousness. 7 days, Jake translated. And what does completing the bonding involve? Zara hesitated. A ceremony. Both parties must willingly accept a full mental link. It requires a sacred ritual that has been practiced by my people for thousands of years. And if we don't do it, we will both suffer permanent psychological damage. Madness, essentially. The room fell silent. Jake could feel the weight of everyone's stares. He had faced dangerous situations before, but nothing like this. There has to be another way, Dr. Foster said. Some way to break the connection before it's complete. Our medical experts have never found one, Zara replied. The bonding process, once begun, must either be completed or it will destroy both minds involved. Pete Davis, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Ambassador, you said. Your people have been watching us. Do they know about this situation? Zara's expression became worried. Not yet, but they will detect the bonding energy soon. When they do, they will come. Come here? Yes, a bonding ceremony is sacred to my people. They will want to ensure it. It's completed properly. Jake felt his stomach drop. How many ships? A full diplomatic fleet. Perhaps 50 vessels. Lisa stood up quickly. 50 ships? How long before they arrive? If they left immediately after detecting the bonding energy, perhaps 4 days. So we have 4 days to figure this out before we're surrounded by an alien fleet, Jake said. They will not harm you, Zara said quickly, but they will insist that the ceremony be completed. To my people, interrupting the bonding is unthinkable. Dr. Foster was taking notes rapidly. Ambassador, I need to understand the medical aspects of this bonding. What exactly happens to the brain during the process? Our minds gradually synchronize. Neural pathways align, thought patterns harmonize. By the end of the ceremony, we will share a single consciousness while maintaining our individual identities. That sounds like science fiction, Ryan said. To humans, perhaps. To Altarians, it is as natural as breathing. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, space looked the same as always, but he knew that everything had changed. Zara, is there any way your people might accept that this was an accident? That we didn't understand your customs? I fear not, Captain. The bonding has begun. To my people, that means the universe has chosen us as mates. They will see any attempt to break the bond as an insult to our most sacred traditions. What about Earth Command? Lisa asked. We need to report this situation. Jake turned back to the group. Send a priority message to Admiral Clark. Tell her we have a diplomatic crisis requiring immediate guidance. But don't mention the bonding yet. We need to understand our options first. Yes, sir. After the meeting ended, Jake found himself alone with Zara in his ready room. The mental connection between them had grown stronger, and he could sense her. Emotions clearly now. Worry, fear, but also something that felt like hope. Zara, I need to ask you something honestly. Do you want this bonding to happen? She was quiet for a long moment. Part of me does. I have never felt such a connection with another being. Your mind is fascinating, creative, full of passion. But I also know the difficulties this would create. For both of us. Yes, I would become something new, neither fully Altarian nor human. And you would gain abilities that might change your nature fundamentally. Jake sat down across from her. What kind of abilities? Telepathy, enhanced intuition, possibly extended lifespan. Altarians live much longer than humans. How much longer? Perhaps 300 of your years. Jake blinked. 300 years? The bonding would likely extend your life to match mine. But you would also lose some of your human spontaneity, your emotional extremes. The bond tends to stabilize and calm the mind. So I become more like you? We would become more like each other, a blending of both natures. Jake thought about this. The idea of living for 300 years was staggering. But the thought of losing his humanity, his essential self, was frightening. Zara, if we go through with this, what happens to your diplomatic mission? What happens to relations between our species? I do not know. This situation is unprecedented. Some of my people will see it as a positive sign, a bridge between our species. Others will view it as contamination, a weakening of Altarian purity, and humans will probably react the same way. Yes, there will be those who celebrate and those who condemn. Jake rubbed his temples, feeling the beginning of a headache. So, no matter what we do, we're going to create controversy. I fear so. They sat in silence for a while, both lost in thought. Jake could feel Zara's mind touching his, sharing his concerns, his fears, his confusion. It was oddly comforting to know that someone understood exactly what he was thinking. Captain, Zara said finally, I want you to know that I will not force this bonding on you. If you truly wish to refuse, I will try to find another way. What? Other way? I do not know yet. But perhaps our scientists, working together, could find a solution. Jake looked at her, this beautiful, intelligent woman who had turned his world upside down. And if they can't? Then we will both face the consequences together. Madness? Yes. Jake stood up and walked to her. Without thinking, he took her hands in his. Her skin was warm, soft, and seemed to pulse with a faint energy. Zara, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Of course. Do you love me? I mean, really love me, not just because of this bonding process? Zara looked into his eyes. Yes, Captain Morrison, I believe I do love you. I have never experienced this emotion before, but what I feel for you is deeper than friendship, stronger than attraction. Is this love? Jake smiled despite their desperate situation. Yeah, that sounds like love. Do you love me? Jake thought about it. 3 days ago, he hadn't even known aliens existed. Now he was contemplating spending the rest of his life, possibly a very long life, bonded to one of them. It should have been terrifying. Instead, it felt right. Yes, he said. I think I do love you. Then perhaps this crisis is also an opportunity. How? Perhaps. The universe did choose us for each other. Perhaps this accident was really destiny. Before Jake could respond, his communicator beeped. Captain Morrison to the bridge, came Lisa's urgent voice. We're receiving a transmission from an Altarian fleet. Jake and Zara exchanged glances. They're early, she said. Captain Morrison, the voice continued. They're demanding to speak with Ambassador Zara immediately. Jake helped Zara to her. Feet, ready to face your people? No, but we have no choice. As they walked toward the bridge, Jake could feel Zara's nervousness through their growing mental connection. He squeezed her hand reassuringly. Whatever happens, he said, we'll face it together. Together, she agreed. But as they stepped onto the bridge and saw the massive Altarian fleet on the main screen, Jake realized that their personal crisis had just become an interstellar incident. Dozens of alien ships filled the viewing screen, their hulls gleaming with that same inner light as Zara's skin. Admiral Kef of the Altarian High Command wishes to speak with you, Ambassador. Kelly reported. Zara straightened her shoulders. Put him through. The main screen changed to show a tall Altarian male with severe features and eyes that seemed to burn with cold fire. When he spoke, his voice was formal and commanding. Ambassador Zara, we have detected bonding energy emanating from your location. Explain this unprecedented situation immediately. Jake felt Zara's fear spike through their connection. Whatever happened next would determine not just their fate, but possibly the future of human-Altarian relations. 3 days had passed since the dinner in Jake's quarters, and he found himself looking forward to every conversation with Zara. She had become a constant presence on the ship, moving freely through the corridors, asking questions, learning about human life. The crew had grown comfortable with her, and Jake noticed that she seemed to genuinely enjoy their company. Captain, Lisa said, as Jake stood on the bridge, watching the stars, you've been distracted lately. Everything okay? Jake turned to his first officer. Just thinking about our situation. This is the most important thing that's ever happened to humanity, and I'm trying not to mess it up. You're doing fine, sir. The crew likes her, and she seems to genuinely want to help us. That's what worries me, Jake said quietly. What if we're not ready for this? What if we disappoint them? Before Lisa could answer, Zara appeared on the bridge. She had learned to use the ship's transport systems, though she still preferred her own technology. Captain Morrison, do you have a moment? Of course, Ambassador. What can I do for you? I was wondering if you might show me your observation deck. I have heard your crew members speak of it as a place of beauty. Jake smiled. I'd be happy to. It's one of my favorite places on the ship. They took the elevator to Deck 7, where the observation lounge offered a spectacular view of space. Large windows showed the nebula they were currently studying, a swirling mass of purple and gold gases that stretched across thousands of light years. "It's magnificent," Zara said, moving to stand close to the windows. "We have similar formations in Altarian space, but this one is unique." Jake stood beside her, close enough to smell the faint, sweet scent that seemed to surround her. "I never get tired of looking at them. Each one is different, like a fingerprint." "Captain, may I ask you something personal?" "You can ask me anything." "Zara, why did you become a starship captain? What drives you to explore the unknown?" Jake thought about it. "I suppose I've always been curious about what's out there. When I was a child, I used to lie on the grass and look up at the stars, wondering if anyone was looking back. Now I know the answer to that question." Zara smiled. "Yes, we were looking back. We watched your species take its first steps into space, and we were impressed by your courage. Were you afraid of us? Some of my people were. Humans can be unpredictable, but I found that quality fascinating rather than frightening." They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching the nebula slowly rotate. Jake found himself studying Zara's profile, the way her silver hair caught the light, the graceful curve of her neck. "Zara," he said finally, "can I ask you about Altarian bonding? You mentioned it the other day, but I'm still not sure I understand." Her expression became more serious. "What would you like to know? How do you know when you found the right person? How do you make such a permanent decision? For Altarians, it is not really a decision in the way humans understand it. When we meet our intended mate, we feel a resonance, a harmony of minds. The bonding ceremony simply makes permanent what already exists." That sounds intense. "It is the most sacred act in our culture. Once bonded, two minds become one while remaining two. It is difficult to explain to someone who has never experienced it." Jake turned to face her. "Do you want that? The bonding?" Zara was quiet for a long moment. "I used to think I did. But since meeting you, I have begun to question whether I truly understand what I want." "What do you mean?" "Humans experience love differently than we do. Your emotions are stronger, more chaotic, more alive. I find myself wondering what it would be like to feel that kind of passion." Jake felt his heart rate increase. "Are you saying you're attracted to human emotions?" "I'm saying that I'm attracted to you, Captain Morrison." The words hung in the air between them. Jake stared at her, unsure of what to say. Part of him was thrilled, but another part was terrified. "Zara, I don't know what to say." "You do not need to say anything. I simply wanted you to know." Jake moved closer to her. "I'm attracted to you too. I have been since the moment you materialized on my bridge." "This is problematic, is it not?" "Very. You're an alien ambassador. I'm a human captain. We come from different worlds, different species. Does this matter to you?" Jake looked into her eyes, those deep, intelligent eyes that seemed to see right through him. "It should matter. But when I'm with you, it doesn't." Zara smiled, and Jake felt that familiar flutter in his chest. "I feel the same way." They stood closer now, and Jake could feel the warmth radiating from her skin. "What happens now?" "I do not know. This is new territory for both of us." Jake laughed nervously. "I've explored unknown star systems, but this is scarier than anything I've ever encountered." "Fear is not always negative, Captain. Sometimes it means we are about to discover something wonderful." They continued talking as the hours passed, sharing stories about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. Jake learned that Zara had always been different from other Altarians, more curious about other species, more willing to take risks. "My people worry about me," she said. "They think I spend too much time studying other cultures and not enough time focusing on my own. Is that true? Perhaps. But I believe that understanding others makes us better. It expands our minds, our possibilities." "I agree. That's why I became an explorer." As the conversation continued, Jake found himself more and more drawn to this remarkable woman. She was intelligent, brave, and unlike anyone he had ever met. Yet she seemed to understand him in ways that even his closest friends did not. "Vera," he said as they watched a particularly bright star, "what would happen if an Altarian wanted to bond with someone from another species? It has never been attempted. Our bonding requires a specific type of mental compatibility that we believed only existed between Altarians. But theoretically, it might be possible. But it would be unprecedented, controversial, and potentially dangerous." Jake nodded, understanding the implications. "What about marriage? Human marriage?" "I have studied this custom. It is similar to our bonding in some ways, but temporary rather than permanent. Not always temporary. Some humans stay married for life, by choice, not by biological necessity." "Yes, by choice. That's what makes it meaningful." Zara turned to. "Face him. Are you asking me about marriage for a specific reason, Captain?" Jake felt his face redden. "I don't know. Maybe. I've never felt this way about anyone before. Nor have I." They stood looking at each other, both aware that they were approaching dangerous territory. The attraction between them was undeniable, but the complications seemed overwhelming. "This is crazy," Jake said finally. "We've known each other for less than a week." "Time moves differently when you find someone who understands you," Zara said softly. "Are you saying you understand me?" "I am saying that when I look at you, I see someone who questions everything, who seeks truth and beauty and meaning. Someone who is not afraid to care deeply, even when it hurts." Jake felt something shift inside him. "Zara, I know this is insane, and I know it's probably impossible, but I have to ask." He paused, his heart pounding. "Will you marry me?" The words came out before he could stop them. He had meant it as a joke, a way to break the tension, but as soon as he said it, he realized that part of him was serious. Zara's eyes widened, and, for a moment, she didn't speak. Then her expression became very serious, and she looked directly into his eyes. "Certainly," she said. Jake blinked. "What?" "I accept your proposal. Captain Morrison, I will marry you. Zara, I was. I mean, IDID in single quotes T. Jake stammered, suddenly realizing what had just happened, but Zara's eyes had begun to glow with a soft inner light. Her skin seemed to shimmer, and Jake felt a strange tingling in his mind. "Oh no," he whispered. "What is wrong, Captain?" "I was joking. I mean, I wasn't completely joking, but I didn't mean—" "What's happening to you?" Zara looked confused. "You asked me to marry you. I accepted. The bonding ceremony has begun." "Bonding ceremony?" "Yes. When an Altarian accepts a marriage proposal, the mental bonding process begins automatically. It must be completed within 7 solar cycles, or both parties will suffer severe psychological damage." Jake felt the blood drain from his face. "But I'm human. I can't bond with you." "The process has already begun, Captain. I can feel your mind touching mine." And suddenly, Jake could feel it too. A presence in his thoughts, gentle but unmistakable. It was Zara, somehow inside his head. "What have we done?" He whispered before. Zara could answer. The observation deck doors opened, and Tony Martinez walked in, followed by Kelly Brooks. They stopped short when they saw Jake and Zara standing close together, both looking stunned. "Captain," Tony said uncertainly, "is everything all right?" Jake looked at Zara, whose eyes were still glowing softly. He could feel her presence in his mind growing stronger. "Tony," Jake said slowly, "I think we have a problem." "What kind of problem, sir?" Jake swallowed hard. "I think I just accidentally got engaged to an alien." Kelly's eyes widened. "Sir?" "And according to Ambassador Zara, if we don't complete some kind of bonding ceremony within 7 days, we'll both suffer severe psychological damage." Tony and Kelly exchanged glances. Then Tony grinned. "Well, sir, I guess congratulations are in order. This isn't funny, Tony. No, sir. But it is definitely the most interesting mission we've ever been on. The next morning, Jake woke up thinking about blue skin and silver hair. He had dreamed about Ambassador Zara, which bothered him more than he wanted to admit. She was an alien, for crying out loud. He needed to keep his head clear and focus on his duties. After a quick shower and breakfast, Jake made his way to the conference room where Zara was waiting with Lisa and several other senior officers. The ambassador had spent the night in guest quarters, and Jake wondered if she had slept at all. "Good morning, Ambassador," Jake said as he took his seat. "I hope you found your quarters comfortable." "Very much so, Captain. Your crew have been most welcoming." Zara's smile seemed to light up the room. "I am eager to continue our discussions." Dr. Foster leaned forward. "Ambassador, I hope you don't mind, but I'm curious about your people's biology. Are you comfortable breathing our air? Is our gravity suitable for you? Your environment is quite pleasant, Doctor." "My people evolved on a world similar to Earth, though with slightly less gravity. We find human conditions very agreeable." Lisa opened a tablet and looked at her notes. "Ambassador, yesterday you mentioned that your people have been watching us for decades. What exactly have you learned about human culture?" Zara's expression became thoughtful. "We have observed your entertainment broadcasts, your news programs, your literature, and your art. Humans are fascinating because you experience such intense emotions. Your capacity for both love and hatred, joy and sorrow, hope and despair. It is remarkable." Jake frowned. "That doesn't sound like a compliment." "Oh, but it is, Captain. Most species in the galaxy are much more controlled. We Altarians, for example, experience emotions, but they are gentler, more stable. Human passion is both your greatest strength and your greatest weakness." Ryan Phillips, the chief engineer, scratched his head. "What do you mean by that?" "Your emotions drive you to achieve impossible things. You explore dangerous space, you fight against overwhelming odds, you create beautiful art, but they also lead you to war, to destruction, to pain." Jake thought about Earth's history, about all the conflicts and struggles that had brought humanity to the stars. "I suppose that's true, but would you change it if you could?" "Never," Zara said firmly. "The galaxy needs species like yours. You bring something unique to the community of worlds." Over the following days, Jake found himself spending more and more time with Zara. She was curious about everything: how the ship worked, how the crew lived, what they ate, how they entertained themselves. She asked thousands of questions. And Jake found himself enjoying the role of teacher. "Captain," Zara said one evening, as they walked through the ship's corridors, "I am puzzled by something I observed today." "What's that?" "Your crew member, Tony Martinez, was telling another crew member about his girlfriend back on Earth. He said he missed her, but then he laughed and made jokes about her cooking. In our studies of human broadcasts, we learned that humans often speak affectionately about their loved ones." "Why did he laugh?" Jake smiled. "It's complicated, Ambassador. Humans use humor to deal with difficult emotions. Tony misses his girlfriend, but making jokes about her helps him feel better about being separated from her. So the laughter was not cruel? Not at all. It was affectionate. It's his way of showing love." Zara stopped walking and looked at Jake with those large, deep eyes. "Human emotions are more complex than we realize. How do you distinguish between cruel laughter and loving laughter?" "Context, I suppose. Tone of voice, body language, the relationship between the people involved. It's something we learn as children. Fascinating. Altarians are much more direct. We say what we mean, and we mean what we say." Jake found himself wondering what it would be like to live in a world without sarcasm, without jokes, without the little social games that humans played. "Doesn't that get boring?" "Boring?" Zara tilted her head. "I do not understand this word in this context." "Well, don't you ever want to, I don't know, surprise someone? Make them laugh? Tease them gently? These concepts are foreign to us, Captain." But observing your crew, I see that these behaviors create bonds between people. Is this correct? Yes. Exactly. When we joke with someone, we're showing that we trust them, that we're comfortable with them. They continued walking, and Jake found himself explaining human customs and behaviors. Zara listened with intense interest, asking questions that made him think about things he had always taken for granted. "Captain," she said, as they reached the observation deck, "may I ask you a personal question?" "Sure." "Do you have a mate?" "A girlfriend, as Tony called it." Jake felt his cheeks warm. "No, not currently. I was married once, but it didn't work out." The life of a starship captain is hard on relationships. "I'm sorry. That must have been painful." "It was, but it was a long time ago. What about you? Do Altarians have relationships like humans do?" Zara was quiet for a moment, looking out at the stars. "We do, but they are different. When Altarians choose a mate, it is permanent. We form a telepathic bond that lasts for life." "Telepathic?" "Yes. We share thoughts, emotions, experiences. It is considered the highest form of intimacy." Jake stared at her. "That sounds intense." "It is. That is why we choose very carefully. The bond cannot be broken once it is formed." "What happens?" "If you choose wrong?" "We do not choose wrong, Captain. The bonding process ensures compatibility. But if somehow two incompatible minds were bonded, both would suffer greatly." Jake tried to imagine sharing his thoughts with another person permanently. The idea was both terrifying and fascinating. "Do you have someone back home?" "No, I have not found a suitable mate. My work as an ambassador requires me to understand different species, different ways of thinking. Most Altarians find this unsettling." "I'm sorry to hear that," Zara smiled. "Do not be. I find other species fascinating, humans especially. Your minds are so active, so full of creativity and contradiction." That evening, Jake invited Zara to dinner in his private quarters. He had asked the chef to prepare something special, and the table was set with the ship's best china and silverware. "This is very elegant, Captain," Zara said as she sat down. "Is this a human custom?" "When we want to honor a guest, we make an effort to present our best," Jake explained. "It's a way of showing respect." The meal was excellent, and Jake found himself relaxing as they talked. Zara was intelligent, funny in her own way, and surprisingly easy to talk to. She asked about his childhood, his family, his dreams and fears. "Captain," she said over dessert, "I have observed that humans often form close friendships with their colleagues. Is this what is happening between us?" Jake paused with his fork halfway to his mouth. Was it friendship? It felt like something more, but he couldn't define it exactly. "I think so. I enjoy your company, Zara. I hope you feel the same." "I do. Very much. Your mind is fascinating to observe, even without a telepathic connection." "What do you mean?" "Your expressions, your gestures, the way your voice changes when you speak of different topics. Humans reveal so much without words." Jake laughed. "I never thought about it that way. For example, right now, your heart rate has increased. Your pupils are dilated, and you are sitting closer to me than you were when we began eating." Jake realized she was right. He had been unconsciously leaning toward her as they talked. "Is that inappropriate?" "Not at all. It indicates that you are comfortable with me, that you trust me. Among humans, this is positive body language. You've studied us very thoroughly." "Yes, but there is still much I do not understand." For instance, why do humans sometimes say things they do not mean? Jake thought about this. "Can you give me an example?" "Yesterday, Dr. Foster asked how I was feeling, and I said I was well. But she seemed to expect a different answer. She asked again, in a different tone. "Ah," Jake said, understanding. She was being polite. When humans ask how you're feeling, sometimes they're just being friendly, not asking for medical information. So, She did not really want to know about my health. She probably did, but she also wanted to know if you were happy, comfortable, enjoying your stay. It's a social ritual. Zara shook her head. Human communication is far more complex than we realize. You have layers of meaning in everything you say. Does that bother you? No, I find it intriguing. It suggests that human minds are capable of processing multiple concepts simultaneously. This is a valuable trait. As the evening wore on, Jake found himself more and more drawn to this strange, beautiful woman from the stars. She was unlike anyone he had ever met, intelligent, curious, and refreshingly direct. Yet there was something mysterious about her, something that made him want to know more. Zara, he said as they finished their meal, can I ask you something personal? Of course. Are you happy? I mean, do you enjoy your life as an ambassador? She considered this carefully. I find my work satisfying. I enjoy learning about other species, helping to build bridges between different peoples. But sometimes I wonder what it would be like to experience the kind of passionate emotions that humans have. To feel joy so intense it makes you laugh, or sadness so deep it makes you cry. Jake looked at her thoughtfully. Intense emotions aren't always pleasant, Zara. They can be overwhelming, destructive. Perhaps. But they also seem to make life more vivid, more real. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, staring at the endless black space through the main viewing screen. The USS Horizon had been traveling for 3 months now, mapping new star systems at the edge of human space. It was quiet work, the kind that made a man think too much about things back home. Sir, we're picking up something strange on long-range sensors, called out Tony Martinez from the navigation station. His voice carried that edge of excitement that came with finding something new in the void. Jake turned his attention to the young officer. Define strange, Tony. It's a ship, sir, but it's not like anything in our databases. The design is completely alien, and it's big, really big. The bridge fell silent, except for the steady hum of the ship's engines. Jake felt his pulse quicken. First contact protocols had been drilled into every starship captain, but no one really expected to use them. Humanity had been alone in the galaxy for so long that alien contact seemed like something from old movies. How big are we talking? Jake asked, keeping his voice steady. About twice the size of an Earth battleship, sir. It's just sitting there, maybe 2 million kilometers off our starboard bow. Jake's first officer, Lisa Chang, moved to his side. She had been with him for 4 years, and he trusted her judgment completely. What are your orders, Captain? Before Jake could answer, the communications console started beeping rapidly. Kelly Brooks, the communications officer, looked up with wide eyes. Captain, we're receiving the transmission. It's in English, sir. Jake felt the hair on the back of his neck stand up. Put it through. The main screen flickered, and then a voice filled the bridge. It was clearly female, with a musical quality that seemed almost too perfect to be human. USS Horizon, this is Ambassador Zara of the Altarian Diplomatic Corps. I request permission to come aboard your vessel for peaceful negotiations. The crew exchanged glances. Jake cleared his throat. This is Captain Morrison of the USS Horizon. Can you repeat your message? Of course, Captain Morrison. I am Ambassador Zara. My people have been watching your species expand into space. We wish to establish formal relations with humanity. May I come aboard your ship? Jake's mind raced. The voice was calm, polite, and spoke perfect English. But how did they know their language? How long had they been watching? Ambassador Zara, how do you know our language? We have been observing your broadcast for many years, Captain. We have learned much about human culture and customs. I assure you, we come in peace. Lisa leaned close to Jake's ear. Sir, this could be a trap. We should maintain distance and report back to Earth Command. Jake nodded slightly, then spoke to the screen. Ambassador, we appreciate your peaceful intentions. However, I need to follow proper protocols. Can you give us some time to prepare? Certainly, Captain Morrison. I understand your caution. I will await your decision. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Jake stood up and walked to the tactical station where Pete Davis, the security chief, was studying sensor readings. What can you tell me about their ship, Pete? It's unlike anything we've ever seen, sir. No weapons that I can detect, but the technology is clearly advanced. They have some kind of power source that our sensors can't identify. Jake rubbed his chin. He had two choices: follow protocol and wait for orders from Earth, which would take days, or make a decision that could change human history. Kelly, open a channel to Earth Command, Priority 1. Yes, sir. But at this distance, it will take 6 hours for our message to reach them, and another 6 for a reply. Send it anyway. Tell them we have made contact with an alien species requesting diplomatic talks. Jake turned to address his crew. Listen up, everyone. We're about to make history. I want full sensors on that ship at all times. Dr. Foster, prepare the medical bay for possible alien physiology. Lisa, review first contact protocols with the senior staff. Dr. Amy Foster, the ship's chief medical officer, looked up from her console. Captain, we don't know anything about their biology. They could carry diseases we can't fight, or they might be harmed by our atmosphere. I understand, Doctor. Do what you can to prepare. Jake returned to his chair and stared at the alien ship on the screen. It was beautiful in a way that human ships never were. Where human vessels were built for function, this ship seemed to flow like water frozen in space. Its hull gleamed with a silver light that seemed to come from within. Captain, Kelly called out, the ambassador is requesting to speak with you again. Put her through. The musical voice filled the bridge once more. Captain Morrison, I hope you will consider my request. I can transport to your ship without danger to either of us. Our technology can ensure complete safety. Transport? Jake asked. You mean beam over, like in the old science fiction shows? There was what sounded like gentle laughter. Your entertainment programs were quite educational, Captain. Yes, something like that. If you will permit me, I can materialize directly on your bridge. Lisa shook her head firmly, but Jake found himself curious. The voice seemed genuine, and if they wanted to harm the horizon, they probably could have done so already. Ambassador, if you can transport safely, then you have permission to come aboard. But I must warn you, we will have security precautions in place. I understand completely, Captain. I will arrive in 60 seconds. Jake stood up and nodded to Pete, who moved his hand near his weapon. The crew watched the center of the bridge, where a soft blue light began to form. The light grew brighter, and slowly, a figure began to take shape. Jake's breath caught in his throat. The ambassador was tall, maybe 6 feet, with a graceful build that seemed almost fragile. Her skin had a soft blue tint that seemed to glow with its own light. Her hair was silver and moved as if it was floating in water, even though there was no breeze. Her eyes were large and seemed to hold depths of intelligence that made Jake feel small. She wore a simple, white robe that seemed to be made of light itself. When she smiled, Jake felt his heart skip a beat. Captain Morrison, she said, her voice even more beautiful in person. I am honored to meet you. Jake found his voice. Welcome aboard the USS Horizon, Ambassador Zara. I am Captain Jake Morrison. He gestured to his crew. This is my first officer, Lisa Chong, and my senior staff. Zara looked around the bridge with obvious interest. Your ship is fascinating, so different from our vessels, yet efficient. I can see why your species has spread so far in such a short time. Thank you, Jake said, not sure what else to say. Would you like to talk in my ready room? It might be more comfortable. That would be acceptable, Captain. As they moved toward his private office, Jake caught Lisa's eye. She looked concerned, and he couldn't blame her. Everything about this situation was unprecedented. In his ready room, Jake offered Zara a seat. She moved with a grace that seemed almost like dancing. Can I offer you something to drink? Coffee? Tea? Water? Water would be pleasant. Thank you. Jake poured 2 glasses of water and sat across from her. Ambassador, I have to ask, how long have your people been watching us? Zara smiled, and Jake felt that strange flutter in his chest again. Since your species first sent radio signals into space, we have been very impressed with your rapid development and your courage in exploring the unknown. And you've been learning our language all this time. Among other things, we have studied your culture, your art, your conflicts, and your achievements. Humans are remarkable in many ways. Jake leaned forward. What exactly do your people want? From us? Zara's expression became more serious. We wish to offer friendship, Captain. The galaxy can be dangerous for young species. We would like to help guide you, as we have helped others. Others? The Altarian Federation includes many species, Captain. We believe that cooperation between different peoples makes all of us stronger. Jake felt the weight of the moment. He was just a ship captain, but he might be about to make the most important decision in human history. I'll need to discuss this with my crew and Earth Command. Of course, Captain. I would expect nothing less from a responsible leader. As they talked, Jake found himself studying Zara's face. There was something about her that made him want to trust her, to believe that her people really did come in peace. But he also knew that the fate of humanity might depend on the choices made in the next few hours. Ambassador, he said finally, I think we should start with small steps. Perhaps you could tell me more about your people and your federation. Zara's smile returned. I will be happy to, Captain Morrison. We have much to discuss. Outside the ready room, the crew of the USS Horizon continued their duties, but everyone was aware that nothing would ever be the same. They had just become the first humans to meet an alien species, and the future was completely unknown.